Second part of linear functions. What happens if we make a little bit of a tweak with the slope, the value of the slope that we haven't talked about so far? Well, let's make a little example about it. Let's say we have y equals 2x plus 3. Pause for a second, and if I ask you what is the value of the slope on this function, tell me. I'll give you 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3. If you said 2, that is correct. This is our m, and our b is 3. Now, something very simple. The higher the value of the slope, the steeper the linear function is going to be. Okay? The lower the value, the less steep the linear function is going to be. The cut with the y-axis is going to remain at 3. It's not affected by the slope. They're independent. Okay? Slope is one thing, and cut with the y-axis is another thing. Okay? Higher the slope, it's going to be steeper. Now, do you remember our identity function? It looked a little bit like this. Y equals x. Well, the higher the slope, it's going to mean that the linear function is going to be a little bit more steep, right? So it's going to be a little bit more aggressive. It's going to go north a little bit more aggressive. We have another piece of information right here. The cut with the y-axis occurs at 3. Okay, so we have to count 1, 2, 3. That's where the cut with the y-axis is going to be. Now, when we graph 2x plus 3 equals y, it's going to look a little bit steeper and cutting at 3. It's going to look a little bit like this. There you go. Notice the difference between the identity function's slope and the y equals 2x plus 3 slope. It is steeper. Okay? Now, another example. What happens if we have, let's say, minus x. Y equals minus x. We don't have a b, it's 0, and our slope is minus 1. Okay, because minus 1 times x is minus x. This is the mirror of the identity function. It's going to look exactly the same, only that the slope is negative. That means that the function is going to go from the upper left quadrant to the lower right quadrant. Okay? It's going to look a little bit like this. Alright? It's basically the same thing, only that it's in this direction. Now what happens if we add a slope to it? Let's say we add plus 3. So now we have y equals, it's a little bit like a 5, minus x plus 3. The slope is still negative. The cut with the y-axis, of course, at plus 3. So this is right here. How do we graph that? Exactly the same slope, minus 1, just move it up 3 spaces. Oh, there we go. Gonna look a little bit like this. Y equals minus x plus 3. See? Got it? This is playing a little bit with the slope and the b, the cut at the y-axis. Keep in mind the following. The steeper the slope, the higher the value of the slope, the steeper the function is going to be. If the slope is negative, then the function is going to go from the upper left